Welcome to English Grammar Spots. This lesson is about the verbs to be, to do and to have, otherwise known as the helping verbs. In this lesson, I'm going to show you how and when to use to be, how and when to use to do, and how and when to use to have. But before we get started, it's good to know that in this lesson I will talk about these verbs as lexical verbs, which means expressing meaning, they add meaning to the sentence, and as primary auxiliaries, and these are helping verbs. They help to form a tense. We're going to start with the verb to be. First, I'm going to show you how to conjugate this verb. For the singular forms, I am, you are, he is, she is, it is. And for the plural forms, we are, you are, they are. Let's have a look at the verb to be in a lexical sense, so expressing a state. I am Sarah. You are late. He is a singer. She is a mother. It is getting late. For the plural forms, we are brothers. You are wonderful. And they are sisters. Let's have a look at to be in questions, again in a lexical sense. Are you from India? Is he lonely? Are they cousins? So please note that when we make a question, we put a form of to be in front of the sentence. Let's have a look at to be in negations, again in a lexical sense. We use a form of to be and we add not to it. You can contract it or write it separately. For instance, I am not, aren't, or isn't. I'm not Margaret, I'm Mary. He isn't at school. We aren't good at hockey. Now let's have a look at to be as an auxiliary or a helping verb. We can use to be to form a present continuous. A present continuous shows you what's going on right now. He is helping his father and they are taking a bath. We can also use the verb to be as an auxiliary for past continuous, but then we use the past simple form. So, it was raining and they were cycling up the mountain. Was and were are past tenses of the verb to be. Now let's have a look at the verb to do. First, we will conjugate it for the singular forms. I do, you do, but. He does, she does, it does. And then for the plural forms, we do, you do, and they do. First, we will look at to do in a lexical sense. To do usually means to carry out an action or to carry out something. For instance, I do my homework. She does the washing up. They do the garden themselves. Now let's have a look at to do in questions, again in a lexical form. Now, to make this question, we need an auxiliary. So here we also use do or does, and then we use the lexical form of the verb to do. Does she do the work on her own? Do you do your homework? Do they do the laundry? So please note that you need two forms of the verb to do here, which can sometimes be quite confusing, but it makes absolute sense, I assure you. Let's have a look at to do in negations, again in a lexical sense. Now we also need an auxiliary here, so we use do and does as an auxiliary. We add not to it, so you can contract it to don't or doesn't, and the lexical sense, do. He doesn't do a lot of cleaning. You don't do your work properly, and they don't do much about the garden. Now let's look at to do as an auxiliary, so as a helping verb. We use to do to make a present simple, So, do you work on a farm? Does he leave early in the morning? And as a past simple, but here we need to change to do into did. Did I leave too early? And did it rain yesterday? So to do here is used to help other verbs to form a present simple, but only with questions and negations. Finally, we're going to have a look at to have. Let's conjugate it first. The singular forms. I have, you have, he has, she has, it has. And the plural forms, we have, you have, and they have. Let's have a look at to have in a lexical sense. Here it means to own something. I have brown hair. She has a wonderful voice. They have a lively mother. Let's have a look at to have in questions, again in a lexical sense. Here we use the helping verb to do and we use have. Do you have a cat? Do we have enough food for the party? Do they have a sister? And for the negations, we also use a helping verb. And here again we use do or does. And we add not to it, so you can contract it into don't or doesn't, and have. So I don't have a car, he doesn't have a brother, and he doesn't have to be like this. Now let's have a look at to have as a helping verb or a primary auxiliary. We use to have to form a present perfect or a present perfect continuous. I have eaten the last piece of cake, and we have been waiting for hours. We also use to have for the past perfect and the past perfect continuous, but we need to put to have in a past tense, which is had. You had taken the test, and they had been working late at night. Finally, let's have a look at the auxiliary, so the helping verb, versus the lexical verb. To be, to do, and to have as auxiliaries help to form a specific grammatical tense, for instance a present continuous such as I am working, or a present simple, he doesn't work on Sundays, or a present perfect, I have worked since 3 o'clock. In a lexical sense, they express a meaning, so a state, so for instance I am John, or to carry out an action, he does his homework. And finally, to own or to possess something, they have 2 sisters. I thank you for your attention. For regular updates, please subscribe to youtube.com/EnglishGrammarSpot or go to www.englishgrammarspot.com.